Hello everyone, Team DMD here. We thought of making a nice little video where we discuss things that we hate about Yu-Gi-Oh!
Not
Hate or
necessarily
dislike.
hate, but simply dislike.
We're dislike.
Yeah.
We're the sensitive people.
That's what. No, I put dislike for a specific reason.
Whatever. So we're just gonna jump straight into it. You should know them by now. TCG exclusives are never actually exclusives. God,
the fact that we get cards and they say, "Oh look, TCG exclusive. This is going to be really neat," and we get it for a few rounds, and then the OCG gets it.
Yeah, OCG starts crying. They're just like, "No, spirals are too good. They can't be like TCG exclusive." And then, bam, okay, little crybaby China people. Here you go.
And then in
Japanese.
Whatever. I don't give a shit.
And in the time
we just went racist.
department, they got support before us.
Yeah,
crazy.
well, they did that with spirals too. They gave us a link monster.
Dangerous.
They gave them the link first, and then we got it. And
Oddly enough, they gave the Subterra link monster too, which doesn't actually help Subterra.
So annoying.
Really.
Whatever. So that's about that. There's just a lot of like inconsistencies with TCG exclusives, but it's annoying. Abandonment of Arcsight supports.
This is more or less like Konami giving card support, like This Man's Dream Mirrors, for example, for a couple of rounds, and then dropping off because they're either lazy or they just didn't feel like making more cards for it.
Time thief.
Well, that was more or less them just forgetting,
We
apparently.
got like four cards when they first came out, and then it took like several months later, or close to I don't know how long, but forever until we finally got some kind of support.
It's been a while.
Oh, there's a lot of
When
like
did they come out?
archetypes.
Soul Fusion?
Yeah, that's Soul Fusion.
They came out on the same set as Orcus.
No, Savage Strike.
Savage?
They came out after.
Savage.
They came out.
Yeah.
And it was a missed opportunity because they're Exceed based, and the next set, Dark Neostorm, was an Exceed based.
Yeah, that would have been great to release
Sad,
them in,
so-
but they just completely abandoned them until recently, and it's like, well, what the hell is the point?
Yeah, it's pretty annoying.
I mean, the support is nice, but it's kind of like, why are you releasing it late?
Yeah, they just don't do anything. Like,
Any closing comments on Dream Mirrors, David?
yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
Be like, I'm
At least
set.
they got 2 support sets in a row. At least.
I guess.
Oh,
No,
Fucking-
Wasn't it a row? No.
Wasn't in a row.
It was staggered somehow. It was really weird.
Fucking, what about fur hires? Fur hires literally like, oh, here you go, guys.
No, for hires were in a deck build pack.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they were in a deck building.
That's
pack.
fine, but I mean, like, they didn't give supports. That's my logic to it. So
So
it's
they
just like,
got every
here you
card
go,
in the
fur
fur hire
hire,
type.
and then like, oh wait, 6 months later, you get a little chicky bird. Like, the deck is still bad.
And
Here
then
you go.
and then a link monster.
It's fucking terrible. Oh, the link was cool. The
Well,
little chicky bird is cool, but
they
like,
do-
you could have given that ages ago.
They always do that with deck build packs. They give it like a little bit of support just to edge it along again, because it was actually decent to begin with because they gave most of the cards out already. It's just that it needed a little bit of tweaking.
Makes me sad. Same with like Musketeers. It's like, oh, here you go, and then
Musketeers were busted. They were
Months later.
hilarious.
months later, here's a
Invoked
link.
Did it too.
Like,
Yeah, Invoked, yeah. We got Invoked Almirage.
I fucking love Invoked.
I mean,
I'm salty about that, but that's my personal thing. I'm not gonna get
Speaking
into
of segue,
the Magical Musketeer Link 1 is just really good.
It's really good, yeah.
Oh
If
my
you can
God,
protect
that's
it,
it.
it's
Really
fine.
fucking good. It turns into a turn 2 deck now. It's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is
Um,
fine.
Support that alters archetype identity.
Okay, so this is a very sort of complicated topic. It's more or less them releasing support for an archetype that completely changes the fundamentals of how the deck was supposed to operate. Classic example is Lunalights. So Lunalights are a fusion-based archetype, right? Well, they were originally. Their last set, they were all level 4. They special summon themselves super easily, and they give you empty card advantage by simply discarding cards from your hands. They basically gave them cards that turn them into a rank 4 deck. Now, this isn't inherently bad. It's just that this isn't how they're supposed to be played. If you're going to turn them into this, then give them an Exceeds. A rank 4 Lunalight Exceeds would have been really cool. But instead, they gave another fusion, which honestly, the fusion's pretty good. But it's a matter of that it's not what they're doing now. In fact, yeah, they have. They have a link.
No, I mean that would have been
No, they
nice.
don't.
Yeah, it would have been nice.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, they just completely destroy decks randomly. It's just like,
Another-
oh, here's support. Now the deck is different now.
Another one was actually Subterrors, because they gave us Guru, and instead of the deck being like Subterror, it was Guru, Fiendus, Hidden City, Final Battle. One of the big dudes, mostly Umastrix or Ultra Maphis. If you know what those cards are, good for you. It was basically just that and a whole bunch of floodgates and a whole bunch of counter traps, and it turned into Guru control. Basically, cut rate, True Dracos, mixed with Altergeist, whatever. All right, moving on.
Yeah, it's relatively known. Non-interactive card text.
This is my personal pet peeve. It's a matter of that they put words on cards that you cannot do anything with. The point of text on cards is that it's interactive. That's the whole point. It's supposed to do something with you or your opponent. Card effects that aren't card effects, that are conditions or restrictions, I agree with them being there. But what I don't agree with is them being in specific locations so they look like card effects, because they're in the effects section. So it doesn't matter if they're at the beginning or the end, they're still bundled with the card effects. So at the end of the day, what am I supposed to do with that? The fact that I cannot use a Rusty Bardiche, to give an example that's actually banned, equipped with a Phantomized Fogblade, which negates its effect as a blanket effect, I still can't use that as a link material. That actually bothers me, considering that it's technically bundled in the effects section. I'm aware that it's not a card effect, but the fact that it's still bundled that way is what annoys me. If you want me to accept these effects that aren't effects, put them in a separate section that says condition or restriction. That's all I ask.
It would make sense, but it's just weird to me that you could just like negate it and then use it.
Well, it doesn't, because at the beginning of Yu-Gi-Oh, it was very simple. You negate a card effect, you negate a card effect. The card effect text is infinitely manipulatable. It can be used in any way, shape, or form depending on what cards you have to interact with it. That's the point of card text. It can be used. Now, some people may have counterpoints to this, but honestly, the way I see it is, if you're going to include something that I cannot physically interact with another card, then you need to put it in a different specific section, even if it's just a little box, just before the effect. That's just a little blocked off box, like the pendulum effect that just says condition or restriction with a few simple words. I mean, separating card text so that it's easier to understand would benefit everyone, not just new players and old players. It would benefit everybody, because it would make the game easier to understand.
Yeah.
I mean, Magic technically does this. I mean, I remember a card that just couldn't be killed by battle or effects. It was like Olagoth the Relentless or something like that. Whatever, people will correct me in comments. It has a little, like, the first line of text is indestructible, and then it's like a space, and then the rest of the effect. It's a matter of that they thought through how this card would work. Therefore, they made it specifically in a way that made it easier to understand how it works, even with just a few words.
Orgoth the Relentless was Duke Devlin's ace monster in Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah. Onamog the indestructible, whatever the frick the card is. It like costs 7 mana.
Whatever. Next point. Pack filler, rarity bump.
So, hi guys, back here.
We can't see.
I take issue with this because so I don't mind certain archetypes getting support and them having some higher rarity. What I do take issue with is when we get useless cards, such as literally anything Neos getting a super or an ultra rare, when that spot should go to something more deserving in the pack.
Valkyries are a good example.
This
man back here made that same comment, and I completely forgot that a couple of Valkyries in the sets after they released were ultra rare, secret rare. In fact, I have one in my binder. Yeah, there was a secret. I have a secret rare from a pack. It was
that was the
Shadows in Valhalla.
Yeah.
No. They released the secret rare in the main set. It was a level 1.
It was a core set. It's a level 1.
Yeah, and it's actually a decent card.
The kid with the pony.
Yeah, it's a decent card, but it's a secret rare in a set that shouldn't have had a secret rare Valkyrie.
Yeah, it's it boils down to where it's like I could probably, if you showed me the entire set, if you showed me the entire set list of a pack, I could probably tell you the cards that are super rares and ultra rares that shouldn't be ultras and supers, and other cards that could be fit.
Like Cross Sheep. Cross Sheep shouldn't have been a rare. It should have been a super rare.
That thing should have been an ultra.
At least, yeah.
Super
I think should have been an ultra. That card's
max,
nuts.
Yeah.
That
Secret
card is
would have been a
ridiculous.
little too far, because then it would be like more than Lightning Storm.
No, Secret would have been way too much. Yeah.
It would have been the $150 card because of the Shadal structure deck. Because, as we all know, any deck that's cheap to build, anything that you need for it that happens to be higher rarity, ends up shooting up in price. Just like when they reprinted all the Dark Magician support in the Megatons later that year, it made Apprentice Illusion Magician go from a $40 card to a $130 card, and then they reprinted it, which was fine. But I mean, you get my point.
Yeah. Ruling inconsistencies. It would be very nice if Konami had their own thing for rulings instead of just finding it randomly on the internet or relying on the Wikipedia.
And the thing is, in OCG they do. If any of you know the organization, they actually post the OCG rulings, and they bring them out every time there's a new set. They have this giant list of rulings that show how these cards interact with other cards and any issues that might occur. In the U.S., actually just basically in the western part of the world, I think Europe doesn't do this. They go the same way that the OCG does. In the western part of the world, we basically just try and make things up as we go and try and guesstimate as best we can, and therefore you get judges that completely misunderstand a question and give a wrong ruling.
And not only that, it's so hard to set precedents now because we're just building on what we already know, then we figure out down the line, oh wait, that's wrong, so we have to figure out this whole entire thing over.
It's like building a foundation for a castle out of tin cans.
It's a lot of bullshit things. Whenever there's a problem, we can't go anywhere to find the answer. We can't ask anyone. We can't email anyone. It's pretty ridiculous. There should easily be at least a group of random 5 people on the in Konami's payroll that we could just email and get a response once every blue moon.
And technically, you can email Konami, but the problem is they won't respond for a few months. Because it's probably Jerome in his office, let me check my emails for the last 3 months. Oh, skip. Ruling questions, skip. Oh, this looks interesting. I play this deck. Let me fix this. I will make this right. I will completely ignore your problem and give you a different answer.
Now, there are people out there who give MST TV who does his damnedest to make sure everyone can understand rulings to the finest detail.
Yeah,
and I appreciate channels like that because it's like Kaor said, it's hard for us in the TCG to find rulings with we have to go all over the place to find them.
And in fact, TCG Player used to have a judge on there, and he doesn't do articles anymore, which is kind of a shame, but I get it. It was a lot of work. He would get questions posed to him on Facebook and stuff, and he would post answers to that on a weekly article. Now, I understand that's also a bit slow for doing things, but at the end of the day, I mean, it's the best we can do.
It's very unfortunate. It'd be nice to have a dedicated team. Misclassification of card effects.
This is another one.
This is all you do.
Well, that's a weird one. That's all.
Yeah, so this is how card effects are worded and how they should be used. This boils down to Lightsworns being the best example because their in-phase effects, for some reason, are activated effects.
They literally are effects.
Why they should be completely passive. I don't understand why. It's literally at the end phase, Raiden, send the top 2 cards of my deck to the graveyard.
That should be a maintenance cost.
And then Ghost Ogre.
Yeah, it should definitely be a maintenance cost the same way a Spiral Field spell is a maintenance cost.
Yeah, it's just it should be passive or a maintenance. It should not be an activated effect. And this man back here brought up Yugioh. That card is one of the last of the cards that we got that have that weird sort of activated effect every time something happens.
The attack increase.
Yeah. All right. So, anybody have anything to contribute to this?
Just things that should be maintenance that should have a classification for maintenance.
Things that should be passive but are activated.
Yeah, I mean, Yugioh's effect should have been every card in the zone gains 300 attack permanently.
And then it doesn't activate, and it's fine. It's just there's a lot of weird things that shouldn't be, but they are.
I think it's more or less a error in translation, but I could be wrong on that because I don't read Japanese, so.
Neither do I. I'm good. This is mine. I fucking hate the fact that we don't have a fucking fixed ban list. As a content creator, it is easily one of the worst things ever if they tell you, oh, it's going to end, we're going to get it by the end of December. And it's literally the last day of December, and in 3 hours, it's about to be January 1st, right? And you're sitting there and you know what's gonna happen, and then guess what? A week later you get a random notification saying, oh, it's gonna be no later than 2 months from now, and you're just like, okay.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
And this actually is really bad because it ends up causing confusion, and it makes it so that you're rushing to do a video, so you can't actually coordinate with everybody. Like I remember one ban list video you guys did. I was off that day, and because of how rushed you were to actually put it together, I wasn't contacted, so I just didn't know.
We didn't. I thought you were working. It was like on a Wednesday or something.
It was on
like,
a Monday.
Was it on Monday? Okay,
Yeah.
well, whatever.
Yeah.
My bad.
But I mean, sometimes I'm off
It's
Monday, sometimes
random.
I'm not. It's just a matter of that because things happen so last minute with these, it ends up making it hard for people who actually work.
If we had a date, even if it's an exaggerated date, if we have a date, I could take a day off. They could take a day off. We can request things months in advance because we get the no sooner than literally 3 months in. Why don't you exaggerate and then purposely extend it even further? Be
Yeah.
like, 6 months from now, and then give us a date. 6 months from now, the 5th. Cool, thanks.
It also hurts other people like this man back here, Mr. Fonta Gamer, because most of the time I'm his ride. So at the end of the day, if we can't coordinate, there's like 3 or 4 of us that just cannot be here.
That's
And
just the
it's
biggest
not
issue.
just it's not just hard on content creators. This is a rabbit hole that goes deeper than this video has time for. But having a no sooner than is a hindrance on the secondary market for some cards as well, because with the no sooner than, no one knows what's going to happen. So a lot of cards will spike, a lot of cards will sink, and it's a detriment to a lot of people who want to buy cards because no sooner than March 30th, then what if I need to buy X card? And then you go see, people are preparing for the ban list and what could happen. This card went from 25 cents to now it's $27.
And just to touch on this, I think this is a carryover from how the OCG does things differently, because they have actual Konami stores where you don't actually technically buy cards. You actually can purchase entire pre-made decks with all these cards in it, and you can actually purchase them with points. So it's more or less that because Konami in Japan technically doesn't have a secondary market because they're their own secondary market, they have no issue with this. So that's just my
When is so much hate. This is literally hate, not dislike, just hate. Just hate. This is wrong and they should fix it. What do I know, right? I'm just a stupid consumer. Generic card effects causing issues.
like.
Where do we begin on this?
So cards like Magician's Souls are the most recent example of this. We've had others in the past. I mean,
Sky Striker Engage.
well, no, that falls in the
That
next
falls
category.
into engines.
So like that's more like it's more like engines.
So
So
you're talking about, like,
we're
Union
talking about
Bearer?
like generic one-off cards that have technically nothing to do with the archetype, and they end up causing issues because they're so generic.
Example, Lightning Storm. Apparently the text on the card is, if you negate the activation of it, you can just activate another.
Well, that's not a text on the card. That's a ruling, but it doesn't say you can only activate one lightning storm once per turn, because that's a little because if I'm not mistaken, attempt of activation is still activation.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
text on this card
But lightning storm has
is
a
very
loophole.
it's generic and it's weird.
Yeah.
Like it's making it so you negate it, you can activate it again.
Yeah,
It's not okay.
Very strange.
It's not okay. It's a big issue, and in the case of generic card effects causing issues, Pot of Greed.
Yeah, Pot of Greed was the oldest example as
What the
well. So
What the fuck?
Pot of Greed, Chaos Emperor Dragon, Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and Yatagarasu and Sangan. These cards basically molded and created the ban list as we know it, because they were part of the first ban list.
Like,
Because of how generic they were and how powerful their effects were, they gave you empty card advantage.
we know that we need them. We know that we need generic cards. We
Yeah.
just do not like the fact that some generic things just dominate a meta.
Yeah,
like mind control or
Well, mind control is a little bit different because it does have built-in restrictions,
Yeah.
but it is just a simple gain control of cards.
it's just
yeah.
Yeah.
So
It is, but
some generic things are really annoying.
yeah, card effects that are generic have to be some sort of future-proofed. And honestly, I think the card they tried the most with for this was Vanity's Emptiness.
No.
No. Let me just explain myself for a second.
Fine.
So, it's a simple card that says you cannot special summon. You never can special summon. If a card is sent from the field to the graveyard, this card is destroyed. Now, in the format that it appeared in, that was a big issue because there wasn't a lot of cards that simply activate and go to the graveyard. There was like you summon galore and then you set your cards and pass. Now it would cause issues today as well because of how dominating it can be. But at the end of the day, because of how many cards we have that just simply get sent to the graveyard just simply by activating, it was more or less they designed it for a future of Yu-Gi-Oh that didn't end up becoming one.
So it is what it is. Generic things, they're relatively annoying. They're a necessary evil, kind of.
Yeah,
Please don't make them be abusable.
Yeah, they're necessary for the game. They really are. Because if they would, a lot of decks wouldn't work without generic card effects. Like Invoked, if you run Pure Invoked,
They're fucking terrible.
you can't run Pure Invoked without generic cards.
Yeah.
Really bad. So necessary evil, we just dislike a couple things about it.
Yeah, as long as it's not cookie cutter chaos.
Like honestly, the most balanced they've made them were, in my opinion, infinite in permanence and evenly matched. They have specific activation requirements, and they still have powerful effects. But at the end of the day, they're not the most broken things in the world.
Yeah, and then
Moving
cards
on.
being used.
Hi, your expert here, Sky Striker Orcus.
Oh,
Please, you played the deck for a week.
I still understood and loved it. It's the deck is so they were abusable, they were generic, and it's funny because it's even the deck having an abusable engine such as Sky Striker Orcus was insane because even under Lancia for myself, I still activated 30 spell cards and built an awesome board.
Yeah, it's simply because technically that deck was literally a deck just of engines. It wasn't even like technically like restrictive archetypes. It was literally just engine, another engine.
Big boy board.
Yeah.
Engine.
It was
It was like how much turbo out cards can I put in this deck?
And it's and one of the biggest things about that was even utilizing cards such as Into the Void when in a deck like Sky Striker Orcus, you're not going to give two craps because you're an Orcus player. You want your hand in your grave. That's fine. That's more Orcus fuel. And plus, it's like you're still able to play when you can't play your Orcus engine. You have the whole Sky Striker engine. When you play that, you end with Widow Anchors. You end with Shark Cannon.
Widow Anchor.
Sorry, you end with Widow Anchor. You end with Shark Cannons, Eagle Boosters, everything else. Where it's like, okay, I can't play Orcus. I'll play Sky Striker, and it's just such a generic thing where these cards like Sky Striker, where they should be only usable in Sky Striker. I don't know how to describe that.
Yeah, okay, so it's a matter of that because Sky Strikers weren't restricted enough and Konami wasn't smart enough to actually restrict certain cards, like Horned Drone should have been banned a while ago and the Sky Striker deck would have been perfectly playable. But it's like other archetypes getting your cards banned because they can be used as a generic engine.
Yeah.
So...
Trick Starlight Stage.
Yeah, this man is Trick Starlight Stage. Or... Pendulums.
Wait, let me do the one that hurt me the most. Brilliant Fusion.
Yeah, Brilliant Fusion. Okay, so here's the thing.
How dare I try to play Gem Knight?
I actually dislike Brilliant Fusion on a simple basis. To me, it is a very terrible card to put in a deck outside of Gem Knights. It makes you run a card that if you draw it, you can't use those cards anymore at all. And two, you end up with a dead card in your hand that literally does nothing.
Normal summon Garnet Pass.
I guess you could do like deck
hurts.
us for Edmund to put it back in your deck.
And it's and go.
You have a point?
I was gonna say there was also Rusty Bardiche.
Yeah.
I don't think Rusty Bardiche was too
He
bad.
still had it with
No, he
That's
was.
what I'm.
I don't know.
Fucking perform ages.
Oh yeah, Pepe.
Right now, fucking
I
perform
wasn't
ages.
around.
Okay. So I wasn't playing with Pepe,
No.
but I understand how it works, and I understand one thing about it as well.
Fucking Pepe.
The fact that Pepe was then what Sky Striker Orcus was before everything got hit on the ban list.
Good old
It was
Pepe.
basically performage cards plus the bare minimum of performance power cards that just gained you card advantage. Like for example,
Fucking
Monkey Board.
Ooh.
I placed Monkey Board on my scale. Monkey Board's effect, I get another scale. It was just a 1-card pendulum scale.
1-card
Why?
scale. Summon your monsters for free, and then summon the stupid little
Joker.
thing with like
Skull
the
Skullcrabat Joker.
no the
No,
little
that's a
the
scam.
little dinosaur looking thing that was like a guitar, and it would
Oh,
draw you 2
guitar.
cards.
Guitar.
That was
Guitar.
fucking
It was
ridiculous.
It was Lizard Draw and Guitardle, and you would just
That
draw
was
cards.
fucking
off.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just,
And on top of like we're going back to like powerful engines and like that. So there was no better feeling than resolving a lot of spells. Activate Engage, search a card, draw Engage, activate Engage, search a card,
Yeah,
draw
but-
Engage, activate drones, make
Whatever.
Kagari.
If we
activate
get
Engage.
into this, we're literally not gonna stop. Okay.
Ugh.
This is just a personal favor. I really miss Ghosty Voice. Like I just want a Ghost Rare. Like I want a Ghost Rare Stardust. I want new Ghost Rares to exist.
Okay, so
The Virus Magician, please.
I just want new Ghost Rares. That's all I want. Like
I want a set where they just have like every now and then they'll give us a set and they'll give us good promos, and those promos will be like the new sneak peeks. How we get a random sneak peek card. They're not going to be like the same card. It's going to be random. They could do that with like further reprint sets and just have like every 3 boxes you get a ghost rare of a certain card, and it's a
Well-
random card from it.
Well, that I don't really like, because the Mega Tens, I like how they changed it, but all the promos what used to be for years just all you once you get a 10, you get all the promos, and now they randomize promos, and there's randomization in those. What kind of promos do you get?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
changed it to
There's
it.
3 separate tiers for the Mega Tens of what promos do you get? You get okay, one from this, one from that, one from the other.
It was either Dimension Shifter,
Nibiru.
Nibiru, or Dark Ruler No More.
and then you had the Takahashi artwork on top of that, and then.
Well, those were easy to get. I actually got a playset of everything within
So,
3 Megatons.
But they put randomization on randomization.
Yeah, I like that though. I like that. Okay, so as a person who likes to open packs, I like that idea because it gives you more of a chance. Because I opened a lot of Legendary Collection Kaiba Corp, and those cards, I literally have like 6 bundles of those promos still sealed because they were mostly useless, and it was the same promos. If the promos were randomized, it would give you more of an incentive to buy the product instead of buying the singles in a way, because then you get the randomized cards, and it's like if most of them were good cards, then you would get like more good cards per thing instead of buying them individually.
And going off of a little thing Victor had brought up earlier, so the OCG has this thing that they did with the Shaddoll structure deck where you would get a booster pack.
Oh, the
and
power
you,
pack.
and you had a chance to get one of the cards in the deck as an ultra rare. What I think would be interesting was, in a way for sneak peeks, if they introduced a pack, like if you win an OTS and your prizes are sneak peeks or whatever, you can get a pack that can randomly have a chance to have a ghost rare of one of the cards.
Yeah,
In the set.
and technically they're starting to do that because of that Legendary Duelist set re-release.
Mm-hmm.
But
Volume 1.
well, that's a video for another day.
that's enough of that.
All right.
So as always, thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share with your friend, your cousin,
No.
your little cousin.
Sponsored by Depression.
And so here's the thing: as a finishing comment, we specifically left out cards we dislike and archetypes we dislike because it was more or less everyone's doing that and everyone has an opinion on that. We tried to get cards and mechanics, like card stuff and mechanics that were different, that were a more wide-ranging topic. For further discussions. I mean, we could sit here for hours talking about it. Almirage should have been an invoked card, but
Jesus
Whatever.
fucking Christ.
so
Enough of that. I will not stop talking.
yeah, if you have any things you dislike about Yu-Gi-Oh that aren't specific cards, that aren't specific archetypes, but are about how the game is fundamentally designed, please leave a comment and give us your opinions.
All right.
Oh, you know what the best thing about this is? New Master Rule? We don't have to worry about, X archetype didn't get a Link monster. Oh, okay, well, that's just terrible for however long that is. I'm like, okay, I don't have to worry about that problem anymore. So
Never.
much, a lot better for the game, in my opinion.
Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.